Good morning. Have you ever heard of quiet quitting? Well, do you know that that does not just apply to employers? Um, it also applies to friendships and relationships, not even just intimate ones, but ones with your family members. Yeah. If you haven't known by now, my name is Cool Granny, and if you're not already doing so, please like and follow and share and subscribe to my YouTube, Cool Granny. Quiet quitting is simply somebody doing things to make you leave without telling you to leave. Okay? If you are experiencing this in your relationship, you're noticing, or if you're doing that, right? This is the most destructive way to leave a situation, right? Because at the end of the day, you have set up these boundaries for yourself that that person don't even know about. You ain't said nothing to them. You ain't told them like, oh yeah, um, these types of things bother me that you do. Giving this person time to rectify that situation. Now, had you did if you did do that, then this doesn't apply to you. But for those of you who are quiet quitting in your relationship, um, at the end of the day, it's going to get rid of that person because essentially you are doing things to push that person away, which is what you want to do instead of just verbally coming out and saying that. You're doing, changing your mannerisms, changing your movements, changing the things that you normally do for that person, to that person, with that person, right? In hopes that they notice it and just get fed up. Sometimes you're with a partner that don't even notice the small things, so they don't even notice the change. So this is why I'm saying these things are destructive to you, because then that ends up prolonging the situation longer than you wanted to, as opposed to you just straight up coming out and telling them what your problems are and allowing them to fix it if you want them to fix it, or just go ahead and communicating that this is not working, right? I notice a lot of people are doing that. I used to do that. I used to build up such resistance and tolerance with a person, and then once they start doing things that I didn't even communicate that I wanted from them or I needed from them, or that um, the things that they did I wasn't happy with, I quietly took mental notes of things I didn't like, and I literally waited until I could not stand the thought of them breathing and used the very next minor situation to leave. The most minor situation, I would use it to just leave, because I have already said in my mind for like the last 4 or 5 months, I have built up this anger and this aggression and this resentment towards this person, to where now I hated the sight of them. Hate's a very strong word. You guys also have to understand that hate is an emotion. So if you hate that person, you still care for that person. I didn't know that till I got older. Um, but anyway, I was building up all of this resentment, which in hindsight held me back, right? It did more harm to me than it did to that person, because realistically, I was with a person that wasn't even paying attention to any signs that I was giving out, or any changes that I was doing, or lack thereof. Like, they literally did not care. Um, so it was really pointless. So it drug out the situation a good 6, 7 months longer than I intended for it to draw out, because I simply didn't just come out. Guys, we have to learn how to properly communicate. Like, it's imperative that at our big old age, I'm 40 years old, it is imperative at our big old age that we learn how to communicate, and then also communicate with the person when you feel like they're not communicating properly. Like, if you cannot talk to your partner and express things to your partner that you feel that you're uncomfortable by, or um, you didn't like how they said something, or something had made you feel without them getting on the defense about your feelings, that is a red flag. That is a red flag. If that person is constantly trying to rebuttal you or invalidate your feelings, that's a red flag. Okay, that's a red flag, because no one should be able to tell you how you feel. Like, how you gonna tell me that what you said made me feel away? How you gonna tell me that it didn't? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, stop dragging out situations with people that are not for you, not are that are not of you, um, for the last 4 or 5 years, I don't give 100% of myself anymore. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I spent my whole life doing that, not even just in relationships, but in my family. In friendships, I gave 100 of myself, and I never got that back. I never got that back. So what I was doing was pouring all of me into something and wasn't getting that returned. Therefore, it left me empty. I had nothing left to give. And once I got to that point to where I had nothing left to give, I was anxious all the time. I was moody all the time. I was hostile all the time. I'm naturally I don't want to say confrontational, but I'm an aggressive person. I speak very strongly. So I come off like I'm just a bitch, so to speak. But I speak with passion. So a lot of the times it is taken out of context. And sometimes I have to reel in what I say or how I say it, just because the crowd that I'm around can't accept my delivery or take offense to my delivery, right? And that's another thing too. Don't be around people that you can't be yourself with, that you can't say what you need to say around, because when you have to hold stuff in that you wanted to say about how you felt about a situation, it builds resentment towards that person because you're not able to communicate properly with them, and you know why you're not able to. So instead of dealing with that person, don't deal with that person. No, we are too old. Life is too short for you to be going around forcing fake relationships, fake friendships, fake family ships. I have no problem not dealing with family members. I have no problem not dealing with a friend I knew since middle school. I have no problem in a relationship if it disturbs my peace. It took me a long time to get there. It took to the point where I was literally devastated behind a breakup that I knew shouldn't have never even been a relationship, to where I had to finally say, I won't allow anyone to disturb my peace. And in doing that, there are family members I no longer speak to, people I was raised with, okay? There are friendships that I do not desire to rekindle or try to get back on track, because those situations were directly disturbing my peace. And because I know how I can get when I am irritated or I'm frustrated or just upset in general, I try to keep myself away from those situations. So quiet quitting in these situations is not beneficial. It doesn't necessarily work in the workplace either. And so don't think that it's going to work in your outside world. You guys need to learn how to communicate your wants, your needs, your feelings, your emotions, your expectations to these people in your life, or you're going to always and forever feel uncomfortable around them. In every setting, you're going to feel like you cannot be yourself. You're going to feel like you cannot express yourself. You're going to feel like you have to reserve the things that you say. Not saying that if you know that you are mad aggressive every time you speak and you just hostile as hell, then yeah, you might need to take a step back. And it's not even about what you say. It's about how you say. Your delivery means a lot, because I can take one word and use it in two different ways, and it's going to get two different reactions based off of how I said it. You see what I'm saying? Y'all gotta learn how to communicate better. It is imperative. And then the lack of accountability that people take or don't take, so to speak, in these situations is wild. If you are constantly fighting for the right to be heard or the right to be understood, baby, walk away. Walk away. There are billions of people in this world. Someone is going to understand you. Someone's going to care about what you said. Someone's going to nurture your feelings. That person is out there. That person is out there. That doesn't mean you need to stay in a relationship with a person that you've known for 10 plus years because you're comfortable with them. That comfortability turns into vulnerability, and then you feel like you can't find nobody else, or this person knows you. Stop it. Don't even have that train of thought. Don't even think like that, because it's not true. It's not true. When I left my children's father, I had 5 kids with him, and he just knew I could not find anyone else, because for one, I had 5 children and I was 21, and for 2, I had been with him for so long that he just felt like he knew me, when in reality he knew nothing about me. I barely knew me. And so when I left him, world of different opportunities opened up for me. Not to say that I had the best relationships after him. The relationships were not the best, but they were better than him. And with each situation, with each relationship, whether friendship, in my family, or an intimate relationship, I learned something different about myself, and I learned how to improve with myself. So don't use that as, oh my God, I'm comfortable with him. He knows my body. He knows my likes. Because if he knew you, then he knew that the certain things that he did you're uncomfortable with. And if she knew you, she would know a certain way in which you move. And when you stop that movement, that there is something wrong, and would acknowledge that. But because we lack accountability, it makes it hard for you to do that. It's because people just don't want to apologize for things that they did wrong, because they don't want to admit that they did wrong. And if you are with somebody, or if you're in a friend group like that, or if you're constantly battling with childhood trauma and you're trying to address that with a family member, and they're constantly gaslighting you, take the healing that you need from that and move on. I have no problem detaching. Now, I'm a Cancer. They say that we're extra clingy. I tend to be at times, but not 100%, because I'm never going to be able to give 100% of myself again and then leave myself with nothing to give to my children, to my grandchildren. I'm never going to do that again, ever. So if that means I'm just half-assed in the relationship, a person could take it how they want. But I'm never, ever giving 100% of myself ever again to anybody, besides for my children and my grandchildren. That is it. Not to my, not to my mother, not to my father, not to my aunts, uncles, none of that. Not to a man, not to a woman, none of that. It's 100% for my kids, 100% for my grandkids, because that is complete solace for me. I will be completely content with having casual relationships and with other people, and just simply being with my kids and grandkids. That's fine for me, because I know how to take care of me. I know how to console me. I know how to pay attention to me. Now, granted, nobody wants to be alone. Everyone wants some sense of companionship. However, it doesn't have to come at the sacrifice of your self-worth, your mental health, your space, for some of those, your sobriety. It doesn't have to come at the expense of that. Like, you shouldn't have to sacrifice this with that. This is not a tit for tat situation. You should be able to give into a person. The person should be able to give back. Now, if you're in a situation where that person can't even acknowledge when they're wrong, in a clear evidence situation in which they are wrong, that's a red flag. And what I do is I take small mental notes of certain situations. I'm mad observant. So that quiet quitting should not be what you want to do in your relationship. You need to tell that person. And if you want that person to fix that, then tell them that too. And then mentally give yourself a timeline on what that looks like and how long that should take for you, because it is you who is seeking this from them. You know what I'm saying? Not them being like, well, I need more time. Okay, well, that's cool and all, but I'm only giving you so much, because I still have a whole life to live. So at the end of the day, communication and accountability is huge. And if you guys continue to lack it, you're going to continue to go from relationship to relationship trying to figure out what's wrong. And in reality, it's you. And it can be the simplest things. I understand that this made you feel like this. Things like that. Noticing when a person is pulling back, noticing when a person is not as catering as they was to you, noticing the small things that person did for you that they no longer did, and being able to address those issues. Because a lot of times men and women do those things, pull back from things for you to notice, for you to say something, so there can be a conversation. But because y'all just paying attention to you, you're not understanding what your partner is going through. And then in addition to that, if you guys are not ready to be with someone and give into them, be single. No one can be upset with you for you wanting to stay single. Be single. Do single people shit. But don't get into a relationship with somebody and have them under the expectations that you are willing to build and to grow and to learn them on a regular basis. Because that does not stop. That goes on every single day of your relationship. I don't care how long y'all been together. You're going to learn something new about your person all the time. All the time. You're going to learn something new. So if you're not ready to do that, stay single. Stay single. Like, I don't get it. Just stay single.